On December 26, 2015, a major tornado hit the city of Rowlett, Texas, a suburb of the city of Dallas. The tornado was approximately 3.5 miles wide and touched down at the southernmost part of the city and eventually took off at the northernmost part of the city. Along its path, the tornado touched down several times and caused widespread destruction. iWire365, a Dallas-based technology company, had recently developed a capability to fly UAV/drones for missions that were specifically related to agriculture and emergency response. iWire365 possessed an FAA license to fly commercial drone flights, and its founder was also a member of the City of Rowlett Neighborhood Community Emergency Response Team, otherwise known as CERT. Being a member of CERT, iWire365 was called to be on site to fly their UAVs to document the path of the tornado, as well as provide real-time imagery to the Emergency Operations Center for the tornado recovery efforts. A DJI Phantom Pro UAV was used with a camera attached, and with the help of a retired captain from the United States Coast Guard, both William and Larry flew their drones over the course of 3.5 days. The mission was to fly the drone over a grid pattern on certain parts of the city, i.e. the path of the tornado, and take an image at 300 feet every 3 seconds. The drones only had so much battery life within it to fly approximately 20 minutes, so several drones were used. As the drones flew their patterns, data was collected, and then from that data, which were the photos, it was placed on respective SD drives, which were then later used to compile the orthomosaic, which you're seeing right now, which was stitched together using software to be used and integrated into either GIS systems or into a file system such as Google Earth. What you're seeing right now is actually Google Earth as we zoom in on the city, whereby you're able to zoom down as close as you possibly can to see what is on the ground. The goal was to basically create a KMZ file for Google Earth that would document from where the tornado touched down all the way to where it left. And what you're seeing right now is to complete a project of what the KMZ file looked like as it was stitched together. As we zoom down, we could actually see the high resolution imagery that was created by the drones as we stitched together the images every 3 seconds at 300 feet. And with the HD cameras that we were using, the resolution is quite clear. And so when you take away the KMZ file like we just did, you could see what it looked like before the tornado and then after the tornado. And you're able to zoom in where needed. The cool thing about this technology is from an emergency response perspective, whether it be a tornado or a hurricane, is that it takes about a day or two for search and rescue in an actual emergency scene to do their recovery efforts, at which point volunteers as well as first responders start moving in to help with the cleanup efforts. On the ground, the Emergency Operations Center is constantly looking for areas to triage immediately of where help is needed the most. Yet at the same time, at about approximately the second day, insurance companies are going to start moving in. And as they move in, they're going to need to start triaging the many claims that are coming their way from the people that they're providing insurance for. So the ability to be able to use this type of imagery when a tornado actually happens real time is not only beneficial for the emergency response community, but insurance companies then could take these KMZ files that are provided to them real time at the time of the disaster, and as people start coming in with their insurance claims, what they're able to do is actually fill out the application, hand it to the person, enter it into a system, and as their address pops up this image that you're looking at right now would pop up, and you can actually make a real-time assessment of how much damage has actually been done to the property, and depending on its damage, whether it be light or severe, immediate financial resources or construction resources could be dispatched to deal with the situation. And at the same time, those people that claims are not as severe, they could be put into a queue to receive the response they need that's appropriate to the disaster that's on their house, which would ultimately save quite a bit of money on time, effort, and resources. At the same time, being able to make an assessment real time on the damage is beneficial not only to the insurance companies, but it's also beneficial for the reimbursement that will be coming from the federal government by way of FEMA, which in this case for the city of Rowlett, had they responded to this tornado the way they normally do without the UAV and drones, they would have only received a fraction of what they were actually able to get reimbursed, because by providing this real-time aerial situational awareness, the claims from what they could see from the air increased what they were able to get reimbursed from FEMA. This type of program would work really well for most emergency disasters that happen across the United States, whereby either first responders or the CERT members or CERT teams for their respective cities and counties could have this technology, either owning it themselves or having a third party provide the service for them. And then by being able to use this imagery, we would be able to use this technology on every type of natural or man-made disaster, but at the same time, it could be used in a systematic way where drone teams don't have to be in every CERT or first responder council. Rather, it could be across the city and teams are dispatched for the appropriate times that they're needed. A program like that would probably be best if it was integrated at FEMA, who operates within a jurisdictions and regions across the United States. And if this capability and companies that were providing these services could become part of that FEMA process on a national level when disasters happen, then you could bring these type of capabilities to a emergency response in real time. The future of emergency response and recovery efforts using UAVs has now evolved into the use of Aerostats. Aerostats are high altitude vehicles that could be flown from low altitude as high as 65,000 feet. iWire 365 is now working with a group that owns and operates these Aerostats, and are used for the same type of surveillance which you saw from the UAVs, but are actually used for establishing or reestablishing communications for cellular capabilities. The Aerostats are attached to the ground and powered up, and the ability to have what is called an L-band radio on the Aerostat and on the ground connected to a ground station, which you see here, allows us to operate at high bandwidth, approximately 1.5 gigabits per second point-to-point links. And with a radio on the Aerostat, you're able to reestablish cellular communication for either first responders or the community and city itself. But at the same time, you're able to have high resolution cameras on the Aerostat that, instead of having to take a picture every 3 seconds at 300 feet, you're able to take single images across an entire city that is high resolution that now you can use for those recovery efforts. The Aerostats in this capability, we have a mobile command center that attaches back to a pickup truck. That emergency command center is what basically receives all the single communications and is able to provide a crew of a few people, an environment to work in an emergency response area without having to take the images from the field and bring it back to a remote location to be processed or dealt with later. Through the use of the Aerostats, similar to high-resolution imagery from a satellite, these Aerostats can be placed over the disaster response zone and keeping in mind that when an emergency happens, there is usually a no-fly zone that is commissioned or put into place by the emergency response team that does not allow any type of flights to happen across the emergency response area. So with the ability to coordinate with the FAA and local authorities, we're able to use these Aerostats for not only real-time high-speed communications to establish cellular communications, but also broadband capabilities that can deliver data, voice, and video, but at the same time using high-resolution cameras to take images over the path of the tornado and moving the aerostat from one location to the other, which not only helps with the capturing of imagery, but it also does not disrupt ground communications. And it's a very low-cost solution, doesn't require the amount of battery time that a normal UAV would use, but at the same time provides real-time situational awareness. There is a function and a purpose to both capabilities with high-altitude aerostats and with drones. It's just a matter of putting together the respective teams to coordinate how services like this actually can be brought to the public in partnership with major universities such as Texas A&M Commerce, as well as how do we work together on a local, state, and federal level to coordinate with other academia, and at the same time being able to be at every emergency that happens across the U.S. versus only ones or twos here and there's like we've seen for the city of Rowlett.